Hello, my name is Jo Scaplehorn and I'm an International Recruitment Officer at the University of South Wales. I might look quite familiar to some of you because I've been to some British Council exhibitions in some of your countries. I've been working as an international officer for the University of South Wales for 6 years now. And I look after student recruitment from North and South America and also from non-EU. So that would include Norway, Russia, Turkey and Azerbaijan. So this is Evan. Evan is one of our students and he's going to help with the hangout today to tell you a little bit about his experience. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi guys. Like Joe said, my name is Evan. I'm from Canada and I'm currently studying my Master's of Business, my MBA. I've done an undergraduate year here 2 years ago and I finished that and have now started into my new program. And I'm actually now just wrapping that up, so time flies.
Well, so the purpose of the session today is to answer any questions that you might have about studying here with us at the University of South Wales. And it can be ranging from anything from the courses we offer to scholarships to where we are based, anything at all. So please feel free to post any questions you might have. If you think of any questions after the hangout has expired, no problem, because you can email myself. My email address is j.scaplehorn, and that's SCAPLEHORN @southwales.ac.uk, and you can also contact Evan as well.
My email is Evan Tamblyn, so EVANTAMBLYN @gmail.com.
And these contact details will be put on the session available for you to see after we've finished. So just to give you an idea about, what the university is like and where we are based. So we have campuses throughout South Wales. So we have 2 in Treforest and Glyntaf. We have another in Cardiff and another then in Newport. And we've also recently opened a London centre, so that's quite an exciting development for us. So we have 30,000 students in total, and around 4,500 of those are international students from over 60 different countries. So we're a very multicultural university, one of the largest universities in Wales, and well, actually the largest university in Wales and one of the largest universities in the UK. And we offer a really wide range of courses, from drama to music, so all sorts of creative industries courses, to business, engineering, forensics, nursing. So I'm sure whatever course you're interested in, I'm sure there will be something that we can offer. So I guess this is a good time to start on your questions then. So the first question you had was about scholarships and whether you might be able to work while you were studying at the university to cover maybe some living costs and some of your pocket money. So yes, if you are going to apply to study at the University of South Wales, you will be eligible to apply for a scholarship. And the amount of scholarship that you're eligible to apply for does depend on your nationality. So, for example, if you're a student from Canada or the USA and you want to study an undergraduate course, then you would be eligible for a scholarship of £1,500 each year. Now, bearing in mind an undergraduate course is for 3 years in total, that would give you a scholarship of £4,500. Now, if you were to apply for a postgraduate course, you would apply for a scholarship of £2,000, and if it was for the MBA, it would be £1,500. Now, if you were a student from South America So for example, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, or from Turkey, then the scholarship for undergraduate students is for £2,500. And this is called the Chancellor's International Development Scholarship. And again, that's given every year of the undergraduate course. Now, again, if you're applying for a postgraduate course, you will be eligible to apply for another scholarship of £2,000, and again, the MBA scholarship of £1,500. Would you like to add anything about scholarships? Was it easy enough to apply for the scholarship?
It is, yeah, and there's lots of information on the website too, and even some almost like a database where you're able to search based on what type of program you're going into, what your nationality is, stuff like that. And there's lots of scholarships.
Great.
Internal and external, I would add.
Yes, that's a good point actually, because what you might want to look at is, yes, you can apply for our scholarship, and there isn't a separate application for the scholarship. It's nice and easy. When you apply for your place to study with us, you automatically apply for the scholarship. But in many countries, you can also apply for external funding. So, you know, if you go onto our country pages on our website, so you would go to www.southwales.ac.uk and then go through to the international page and then onto your country page, that will tell you all about the external funding you can apply for. So talking a little bit about whether you can do some work experience. Now, when you are studying when you have a UK Tier 4 study visa, you will be eligible to work for up to 20 hours every week during term time. So this will allow you to, work to get a little bit of pocket money. Now, you wouldn't be able to rely on that part-time work to fund your living costs and your tuition fees, because to be able to get a visa to study in the UK, you would need to be able to show the UK Visas and Immigration that you can afford to pay for this money, in the total fees for your tuition fees and your living costs before you apply for your visa. Evan, are you working part-time at the moment?
I am, yeah. So I work in the capital city called Cardiff. So I go in just once a week on a Wednesday, and it's a nice balance. I think it allows me to take my mind off of the schoolwork for a day, and like you said, just a little bit of extra money here and there. And it's nice. It's good to get experience too, and kind of apply what I'm learning in the classroom and see how it works in the real world, I guess.
Absolutely. And how did you find that job then?
Somebody contacted me through LinkedIn, actually.
All right, okay, so that's a good way of finding work. I think a lot of students as well find work through just basically going and walking around the shops, because most students will find part-time work around their studies, working in restaurants, in shops, because obviously they're more flexible hours. But it's a really good way of sort of socialising and making a little bit more money on the side. And of course, it's a good experience, to be able to put working in the UK on your CV while you were studying. Okay, so thank you. We're going to move on to the next question now. Okay, let's have a little look here. So this one's talking about work experience and also some placements that will offer full-time positions upon graduation. And talking about maybe placements during your studies. Now, it's quite important to let you know that undergraduate courses in the UK are for 3 years in duration if you were to do full-time study. However, there are some opportunities in some courses for you to do a 1-year sandwich placement course. So in year 1 and year 2, you would study at the university, and then usually in year 3, you would go out and do some work experience or maybe some study abroad in one of our partner institutions. Then in your final year, you would then come back to the university and continue and finish your studies. So it's a really great way of gaining some overseas experience if you do study abroad, or if you're going to work experience, it's something great to put on your CV. And obviously, when it comes to graduation, if you do well in that company, then there might be opportunities there as well. Anything you'd like to add, Evan?
Yeah, just the end of this question now is saying, what do you think encourages students to go on exchange, especially after being offered potentially full-time positions? I was in a similar position. When I studied in Canada, I actually did 3 co-op placements throughout. And even despite having that and having those opportunities afterwards, you can't get the kind of international experience and learning about cultures and experiencing a new country that you can from working a full-time job in your home country. And so it's almost like there's 2 separate sets of benefits. I decided to come here because I was interested in kind of a multinational company that I wanted to work for down the road. And so I felt that this would be a beneficial experience beyond just being able to say I've worked in a marketing company in Toronto or whatever for 2 years. So,
yeah, it is a really great experience, you're right.
Yeah, so it depends on what you want to do. And I think that there's definitely a set of people who would greatly benefit from studying abroad.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll move on to the next question then. So the next question is about accommodation and residences on the campus. So as an international student, I know that one of the main concerns is when I come and study at the University of South Wales, where will I live? We do have accommodation on campus, and especially if you are an undergraduate student, we would really recommend that in your first year that you live on the campus. We have accommodation across all our campuses, and we always advise students to apply for their places early at the university so that you can apply for your accommodation, and that will give you the best chance possible to get your first option of accommodation. So we have a really wide range of accommodation across the spectrum. So even most of our standard rooms will have ensuite accommodation, and you know the quality of the accommodation is excellent. Then in your first year, when you live on accommodation, that's a really great opportunity for you to meet with other friends, other students who are in the same position as you, who might not know anyone at the university. So it's a very sociable way to live, and of course it's very close to the campus. Then in your second year, this is where most students will actually leave the accommodation on campus to find private accommodation. And there's plenty of support for you to be able to find private accommodation, whether you've decided to do that in your second year, or maybe like some postgraduate students like to go into private accommodation, you know, as soon as they arrive at the university. Where are you living, Evan?
Yeah, so I did exactly that. When I first came here to do my undergraduate, I stayed on campus in the residence, and then I moved out for the last 2 years, and I've been living just in the local area in Treforest.
Brilliant. And what is the private accommodation like? Is the quality nice?
In Treforest?
Yes.
It's not as good as the campus living. Yeah, the halls are very nice, and a part of me wishes that I stayed in them for all 3 years.
Right.
Possible. Yeah, like you said, the social aspect and everything, it doesn't compare. And once you go out and you're living off campus, it's a little more difficult to meet up and connect with people. And I miss that. I miss that about my first year.
Well, I guess the benefit of living off the campus is that there will be cheaper accommodation available to you, but most of the off-campus accommodation won't have ensuite accommodation, so you will be sharing a bathroom. But you know, accommodation, private accommodation is very close. It can be quite close, but we always recommend to students, if you are going to go for private accommodation, like Evan was saying, the quality is not going to be the same as you'd expect to find on the campus. And we always recommend for you to come and see the accommodation for yourself before you sign the contract, because a private accommodation contract will be legally binding to us, similarly to the on-campus accommodation. But at least you can guarantee with the on-campus accommodation the quality is going to be good. So we have a list of hotels and accommodation that we can give to you while you are looking around at accommodation. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question then. So the next question then is from Gabriella, and this is asking about our Bachelors of Science in Psychology with Behaviour Analysis programme. Now, this, as far as I'm aware, this is a Bachelors of Science, and yes, this would be a full-time course, undergraduate course, and that would be for 3 years. Yes, that would be the case, unless it said top-up course at the end of the course, which would mean that it's a 1-year course. Then the Bachelors of Science in the UK is for 3 years. But I will just do a double check into that and come back to you in case if there is an issue with that. We'll just move on to the next question. Okay, I'm going to move on to a question from Marcel. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Apologies if I'm not. So what happens if you get approved for the university to come and study on a course but not to a scholarship? Now, the way we work with scholarships is when you apply to study with us, you will automatically apply for your scholarship. So there isn't a separate application process. Now, when we consider your application, if we decide to accept you onto the course, we automatically guarantee you the scholarship too. So when we issue your offer letter, it will say, this is the course that you've applied to and you have a conditional or unconditional offer for the course. This is the tuition fee of the course. This is the scholarship, and this is the tuition fee that you will pay after the scholarship. So when you receive your offer letter, it will be very clear that you have accepted your scholarship. Did you find that quite clear when you received your offer letter?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay.
Again, I was mostly involved in it 3 years ago when I first accepted my undergraduate. But yeah, I don't remember there being any issues with that.
Okay, brilliant. So we'll move on to the next question then. Let's have a look. Yeah, a lot of questions about scholarships actually. So I hope that as we're going through, we're answering all those scholarships for you. Right, there's a question here that I'm going to answer again from Marcella Uzabel. And this one's asking whether the scholarship will cover all the university costs. Now, the scholarships that we offer are partial scholarships. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure whether you were here for the first session, but basically for undergraduate students, there is a scholarship, and depending on your nationality, it will be either 1,500 if you're Canadian or if you're from the USA, or for students from Latin American countries and from Turkey, it will be 2,500. So it's partial. Now, the total tuition fee that you pay will be the full tuition fee minus the scholarship. Okay, so it will take away that 1,500 or the 2,500 from your total tuition fee. So it won't cover the entire tuition fee. However, if you were to compare our tuition fee and the scholarship that you would be awarded in comparison to many other universities in the UK, you will find that our tuition fees are very reasonably priced, even after the scholarship. So hopefully you'll find the scholarships very helpful. As we were talking earlier, Evan and I were saying that it's a good idea to look into any external funding that your government in your home country might be able to provide. So it's always good to look into that as well, because that's something you can apply for in addition to the scholarship that we can provide. We'll move on to the next question then. Oh, a lot of people, some people just want to say hello, so hello back at you. Hi, Margaret, hello. I hope you're well. Yeah. And again, it's asking about accommodation for international students. I think it's probably a good thing to say that with our accommodation, this accommodation isn't specifically for international students. So you won't find just international students in one flat. Especially, you know, for private, I'm talking about on-campus accommodation here. Because what we try and do is make sure you have a good experience and you're able to mix with students of other nationalities. You might be with home students and international students. What was it like in your first year? Did you find there was a good mix?
Yeah, there was. So my flat, we had 6 people living together. So myself, Canadian, there was someone from Cyprus, someone from Norway, someone from Wales, England, and Russia.
Right.
So it was very widespread. But one thing I would say is, at least when I did it, we had the option to choose. I remember being able to actually declare whether I wanted to be with international students or all home students,
Right.
and if I wanted quiet housemates or loud party housemates. So there's a degree of flexibility in terms of what you're looking for, and I think they try to do a good job of actually matching you up.
Yeah, good. And of course, I guess the benefit of meeting people from different nationalities is, of course, when you go to university, you meet friends for life. So, if you do fancy going on holiday, you are able to go and visit them. And also, I imagine some nationalities, their cooking skills as well, being able to try different kinds of food from different countries might be quite good as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The British person actually ended up being my girlfriend.
Ah!
And we're still dating 3 years.
Ah! Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
So there's opportunities.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question then. So thank you for that question, Ruby. There you go. Right, we have quite a specific question here about the psychology program from Ida. There you go. So you're asking about what kind of psychology programs do we have. Now, you don't quite mention here whether you're looking for undergraduate courses or master's programs, but either way, we do offer courses at both levels. So I can send you a little bit more information about that, or feel free to email me and I can send you a list. But for undergraduate, we have general psychology courses, or there's also the opportunity to do a joint major or minor course as well. So that's quite nice because it makes the course a bit more flexible. Then usually students who go on to do a master's, excuse me, students who go on to do a master's tend to focus on a particular area of the subject they studied at an undergraduate level. So for example, we have behavioural therapy, clinical abnormal therapy. So just a couple of courses that you might be interested in. But again, if you are looking for a specific course, then we can look at that after this session. So thank you for your question. We'll just move on to the next question then. Okay, there's another good question here. Again, there's a lot of questions about accommodation, which are quite good. We've got a few technological issues here. So technology is great when it works and maybe not so great when it doesn't. But basically, what that question was asking is about accommodation and how much around will it cost to live. Now, first maybe start with on-campus accommodation, because that would start from about £98 every month. And sorry, every week. It would be very cheap if it was every month, but every week it would cost about £98. And if you're living on campus, that would include things like your bills, your internet and your rent. So basically everything's covered. It makes it nice and easy for you. And if you're living off campus, it does tend to be a little bit cheaper. I mean, what would you say is the average rent for off-campus accommodation, Evan?
£50 to £55 a week intra-forest, and probably more like 60 to 70 in the Cardiff area. Right,
okay, so it's a little bit more expensive in the Cardiff area, which is, makes sense because it's a city, whereas Pontypridd, where our Treforest and Glyntaf campuses are based, it is going to be a little bit cheaper because it's just outside Cardiff, so it's Pontypridd is a town. So yeah, if you're looking to live in Pontypridd, you're looking at about £200 a month, maybe 230 every month. And you need to think about when you're looking for a private accommodation, sometimes that will include your bills, but more often than not, landlords prefer to have their rent stated and then you would pay your bills separately. But again, do you find that quite easy to sort out, paying your bills separately, or do you pay them as part of your rent?
Yeah, so I pay them separately. It's easy enough to set up and to take care of, but I do miss kind of having that certainty of living in halls and just knowing that it was all paid for. Yeah. Now you kind of have to think, well, how much is electricity going to be? I have to set this much aside for gas and water. And it's just another thing to think about, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another question here from somebody who has class very soon. So thanks for that, Gabriella. Thanks for popping in to see us. Our email address, just to tell you about that quickly again, is my email address is j.scaplehorn. So that's j.scaplehorn@southwales.ac.uk.
And my email is evantamblin, EVANTAMBLYN @gmail.com.
And again, the email addresses and contact details will be provided after this session. And you can also find my contact details on our country webpage, on our university website, which is www.southwales.ac.uk. And then you can go through to the international section, and that has all the information you need about how to get onto the country pages. So thank you for that question. Okay, so we'll move on to another question. I'm having mouse issues here. Okay, so we'll move on to another question here then. Yeah, if we move on to that one, that would be good. Okay, this is a question from one of our Colombian inquirers. So Miguel, hello Miguel. Let's have a little look. So you're asking about how to get scholarship. Obviously you're in Colombia. Can you work while you're studying at the university to cover the cost of the scholarship? One thing I would mention here, you don't mention whether you are an undergraduate applicant or whether you're looking for postgrad study. In Colombia, there are many opportunities for you to apply for external funding. So you've got Call Futuro, you've got ICETEX, you've also got Conciencia. So these are all things you should look into. But again, I don't know if you tuned in a little bit earlier when we were talking about scholarships, but yes, you can apply for scholarships as a Colombian applicant for undergraduate and postgraduate. If you're an undergraduate applicant, you will be eligible for the Chancellor's International Development Scholarship of £2,500 per year. If you're a postgraduate applicant, you would apply for a £2,000 scholarship, and for the MBA it would be £1,500. So I hope you find that useful. Right, okay, this next one is from a student called Marcella. Well, back to Marcella again, a few questions from Marcella today. Yes, she's asking whether we offer any law courses. Yes, we definitely offer law courses. You're a high school student, so you're looking for information about undergraduate law courses. Yes, we offer many different law courses, whether that's a general law degree that you're looking for, or whether, again, you're looking to do a major, minor, or a joint course. So again, there's a little bit of flexibility with our law courses. Now, if you come and study with us undergraduate level, then generally this is a 3-year course, similar to all the undergraduate courses in the UK. This would be a really great place for you to study law, actually, because there are a few different things that we offer, such as we have a moot law courtroom on our Treforest campus where you would be studying. And that's a really great place where you can practice your legal skills. And also there's a really good opportunity for students in their second and final year to be a part of our law clinic. Now, our law clinic is actually based in Cardiff, very close to our Cardiff campus. And this is an opportunity for you to deal with real life law inquiries. So for example, a member of the public might have a legal question, and maybe they need to think about going to court or something, taking somebody to a small claims court, for example. Now, the legal clinic down in Cardiff is where our students would actually provide advice to the public. So it's a great opportunity, again, for you to get some real life experience. You know, you're not sort of thrown in on your own to answer these questions. You will be there with a qualified solicitor who has a lot of work experience, but it's such a good opportunity for you to, and again, something to add to your CV to make you really employable. So thank you for that question, Marcella.
I would just add to that briefly that I have a friend from Canada that's come over and done the 3-year program. She's just finishing the 3rd year now. And I've not asked her too many questions about the specifics, but she says she really enjoys it. And she doesn't regret coming over from Canada.
So have a good time. And actually, that's a really good point, because we have so many different students of different nationalities studying our courses. So if at any point you thought, oh, well, actually, I'd like to speak with someone who's already studying law or engineering or business, whichever course, please do get in touch with me and I'll be happy to put you in contact with someone who can help. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question then. This is a really great question from Mariana. Mariana is asking about the university's facilities and laboratories and the library, and again about the accommodation and the cost inside the campus. Well, I suppose it would depend on which campus you're studying on, but whichever campus you choose, there will be all the necessary facilities that you would need. So there will be accommodation on every single campus. There will be a library on each of our campuses too. On some of our campuses, we have other facilities such as a sports centre, students' union, and even if we don't have a sports centre on the campus, such as, for example, our Cardiff campus, we do have agreements with sports facilities very close by. For example, I believe we've got one in a hotel close by in our Cardiff campus. So you will have access to all these facilities. And of course, wherever you are studying, you would have access to every single campus. So if you were based in the Cardiff campus, you would have access to all the facilities in the Treforest campus and vice versa. How are you finding the campus facilities, Evan?
Yeah, so I don't go to the other campuses very much, but the Treforest one where we are now is great. It has a shop, it has enough for you to live off of food-wise, and there's the Students' Union, and they do nights out throughout the week. Library, a nice new library actually. It was just finished earlier this year, I guess. Yeah.
The disabled facilities as well. That's something new they've put in there.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, here it has everything that I need, so it's great. And I guess living in Treforest or Pontypridd, a 10-minute walk away. If there's something that's not on campus, it's really easy to get.
And I guess even if you don't fancy cooking that night, on every single one of our campuses there are restaurants that you can go to. So it makes life a little bit easier. But you're right, as you said, there's always going to be very good facilities, restaurants close by to the campuses as well. So it's nice and convenient.
Yeah, especially in Cardiff.
Absolutely. And we probably should mention here that Cardiff is just 25 minutes away from our Treforest and Glentoft campuses, which are based in Pontypridd. There's a direct train that takes you from these campuses to Cardiff. So it's really nice and easy for you to be able to get into the capital city for your shopping, your restaurants. Even if you do some work experience, it's a good place to go to start looking for work.
Yeah, I go in once a week, like I said, for work, and there's a train every 10 or 15 minutes.
Nice and regular and easy to get to. So if you're looking for, if you were based in the Treforest campus or the Glentoft campus in particular, a lot of our students will live on or close to the Treforest and Glentoft campuses, and then travel into Cardiff because it's cheaper than living in Cardiff. But even so, Cardiff, in comparison to many other cities in the UK, especially somewhere like London, is far more reasonably priced. And also, in 2013, Cardiff was voted as one of the best cities in the UK for young people. So it's very up and coming, very multicultural, a great place for students to live. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question then. Okay, so we've got a question here about whether we can send you the link for scholarships and what they're for. Yeah, absolutely no problem. We can send you the link to that after the session's been finished. Okay, so we've got another very good question, another relevant question for international students. So most international students, unless you have a UK visa, a UK passport, I'm sorry, you would need to apply for a Tier 4 student visa. Now, this is a fairly straightforward process, providing you have all the necessary documents in place. So the first thing you would do before you would apply for your visa is be accepted onto one of our courses. Then we would send you an offer letter. And when you've met all the conditions of that offer letter, so for example, that you finished high school or you finished your degree in your home country, and you meet our English entry requirements, then we will issue what's called an unconditional offer. At that point, we would ask you to decide whether you want to accept your offer, and if so, you need to pay your deposit. Now, the deposit we ask for is 50% of your tuition fees, and usually if you're an undergraduate student, that works out at about £5,000. Now, when we receive your deposit, that's when we will issue you with a document called a CAS letter, and that's what allows you to apply for your visa. Now, this would probably be a good time to mention that in every country, or most countries we work in, we work with representatives based in country, and they would be able to help you with your visa. So they would help you from everything from applying to apply for your course, and then when you have your acceptance letter, to applying for your visa. So once you have your visa, that is when you let us know that everything's okay and you're ready to travel, and that's everything you need from there. But it's a fairly straightforward process. How did you find the process, Evan? Did you find it quite straightforward, and did you apply yourself for the visa?
So I applied through an agency in Canada, and they took care of almost everything for me, actually.
What was the name of the agency? Do you know that?
Barclay and Knapp?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would just ask a few questions, and then for the most part, they would facilitate the communication between the university and myself, which was really convenient because of the time change. I have to be getting up quite early in the morning in order to contact the UK, but they were kind of able to work outside of normal hours, I guess, and get what needed to be done for me. Yeah.
Right. So I guess it's useful to know that, yes, the university is here to help you and support you with your application and with your visa, but we also have in-country representatives to help you as well. So I hope you find that useful. Okay, so moving on to the next question then. Okay, so this is a good question from Magnus. Is there a way that I can get in contact with current chiropractic students if I have any questions? Absolutely. We have many students, international students and home and EU students studying chiropractic, and yes, it's no problem. In fact, as we mentioned earlier, if you did want us to put you in contact with students from any subject area, we would be happy to do that. And of course, Evan would be happy to answer any questions you have as well after the session.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on to the next question then. So these contracts are for 40 weeks of the year, so that's how long you will be there for. How did that contract work for you, Evan? Did you find that that length of time worked well for you? And what did you do through the summer?
Yeah, so it worked fine. I'm trying to think back to then. I actually went home. I went home back to Canada for the summer that year. And I was actually hoping that it would be a little shorter of a contract.
All right.
Because I guess your lectures end, you're done studying a few weeks before your contract ends. And so I ended up leaving as soon as exams were over or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I ended up having my British girlfriend, and so now in the summer, I am just going to her place for the summer. Having said that, though, if you don't have that, they do allow for weekly payment throughout the summer.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the reason they've kept it at 40 weeks is because the university years, the cycle is from September, and then, you know, that goes through then until sort of May time. So some international students like to go back home then during the summer. So that's why it's a 40-week contract, so you've got a bit of flexibility there. But if you did want to stay in the UK over the summer holidays, no problem. Basically, we can work on a more flexible basis then to extend your contract with the summer, no problem. So I hope that answers your question. So we'll move on to the next one. I should mention, whichever accommodation you stay in, whether that's Treforest and Cardiff, Newport, there will be options for you in the summer, so don't worry. So we'll move on to the next one then. So if a student receives an offer and is highly considering accepting the offer but might not be able to pay half the tuition fees in full up front, is there a way that the payments can be split or made in a different way? Now, to be able to get the visa, it's important that you pay 50% of your tuition fees. So that's the minimum you must pay. However, the other 50%, then, there is a bit of flexibility. If you pay your tuition fees in full, either before or on enrolment, you will get an early bird discount. So that's a £300 discount from your total tuition fee. So there's a good incentive there to pay for your tuition fee in full by the time you enroll, especially because if you were applying for a visa, you must show that you have your full tuition fee in your bank account for at least 28 days. Now, if you don't feel that you're able to pay the remaining 50% in one instalment, there are more flexible options. So for example, you can pay in 3 instalments, and there wouldn't be any extra charge for that. It just means that the instalments are split into equal instalments, or the instalments are paid in 7 instalments, but there would be a charge for each of those instalments, an admin fee. So something to think about. Thank you very much for that question, Ruby. Okay, so this is another good question from Mariana. If you would like to apply for a programme, so whether, I mean, you're specifically asking for a postgraduate programme here, but this is a good question regardless of whether you're looking for an undergraduate or postgraduate programme. Now, we always advise students to apply as soon as possible. So for example, we're now in full swing for accepting applications for the September 2015 intake. However, if you are thinking of applying for September 2016, I know that this seems like an awful long way away, but we will still accept applications for that intake. But to give you an idea about when it starts becoming a little bit busier in terms of accepting applications, usually around sort of March time becomes a little bit busier. And then as you go through the cycle then, sort of March, April, May time, that's when, you know, we're accepting some very last minute applications. But of course, sometimes it can be a bit, don't leave it too late, because some of our courses tend to get very full quite quickly. So for example, some of our nursing courses and professional practice courses get full very quickly. So I would really advise you to apply sooner rather than later. How did you find this? Did you apply very early, or? But I guess it's a little while back now, because it's an undergrad as well.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure, to be honest. No. I was in contact with the agency and they told me when to.
Okay.
Yeah, so
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I guess this is why it's quite useful to get in touch with an agency, because they'll be able to give you guidelines on when it's best to start. But yeah, to answer your question, Mariana, the sooner the better. So even though 2016 sounds like an awful long way away, if you have some of your documents ready, please feel free to apply. Even if you don't have all your documents, it's good to get that application in so that you have some options. So thank you for your question. We'll move on to the next one. Okay, this is a really good question as well from Magnus. He's asked, you know, as part of your application process, you need to write a motivational letter. You know, there's lots of different ways of calling this: personal statement, my, you know, motivational letter. Basically, a personal statement or a motivational letter is telling us why you would like to study at the University of South Wales. Why do you want to study this course? Why would you prefer our university over another university? And why do you think this course is going to benefit you when you graduate? How is it going to help you to find a job? Now, for us, the length of the personal statement is not as important as the quality of the work. So it could, some students like to write, a page, some like to write 2 pages, but it's not important. What is important is your reasons for studying with us. And also, it's very important to make sure that it's specific to our university. So copy and pasting is never a good idea, because it's always very clear that that's what you've done. So it does have a negative impact on your application if you do that. So try and, make sure you do it specifically to us.
Yeah, I would just say be authentic. Just ask yourself, why am I wanting to go here? And just write it down.
I guess you need to be honest, and it's a good way of reflecting on why this course is the right course for you, and of course why you've chosen the University of South Wales. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Magnus.
And actually, a good tip for that would be to get in touch with current students that are in that program and ask them what they've got out of it. And then that's probably going to be the same reasons that you're going to take it, so that you can get those same outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some good advice. Okay, thanks, Magnus. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question, which is from Christian. So basically, if you decide that you are interested in a course, but on the website it does list all the modules that you might be studying, but it doesn't give detailed information about each of the modules, just lists it. But yes, we can send you some information about each of the modules. So what we'll do is take down your details and we can send you that information later on after this session. But yeah, good question. Thanks, Christian. Anything else you'd like to add? Okay, so we'll move on to the next question then. This is another question from Margaret. Hello again, Margaret. I can understand why Margaret is asking this question, because Margaret is about to make her way to the University of South Wales to study with us shortly. So Margaret is asking, how do you get from London to the University of South Wales? Okay, so Margaret is going to be studying in one of our Newport campuses. But I think the important point here is that when you fly into the UK, there will be an arrival service to help you. Okay, so whether you fly into London Heathrow Airport or to Cardiff Airport, there will be help for you. So if you're travelling to London Heathrow, there will be someone waiting for you with a board saying University of South Wales. And what that person will do is help you to buy your ticket, to help you to get to any of our campuses, whether that's the Newport campus where you will be going, Margaret, or whether it's to our Pontypridd, Treforest or Cardiff campus. But someone will help you to buy a ticket to either get on the train or the National Express bus. And usually it's the National Express because it's a bit cheaper. So that's one way. If you fly into our Cardiff airport, you will be able to get a taxi from the airport to any of our Treforest or Cardiff campus, okay? Now, what's important to know is that you do need to book these services in advance, and we can put the link of how to book these services after this session, so it should make it nice and easy for you. But yeah, whichever airport you fly into, it's no problem. There is an arrival service, but you just need to book it in advance. Anything you'd like to add? I
would just add that it's very easy to get from London into University of South Wales. For the most part, it's usually just one train, depending on where you're going to, or just one National Express. Yeah. So just in the future, it's 2.5 hours, maybe 3. Yeah,
if you go into the Pontypridd campus, you're looking at about 2.5 hours. To Cardiff and Newport, about 2 hours. So it's nice and easy, it's not too far. And on our website, there is also a link. If you did want to make your own way to the campus and you didn't want to book the arrival service, which I should also mention is a free service, then there are directions and sort of advice on how to get from London and Cardiff airports to all our other campuses. Yeah, so thank you for that question, Margaret. And yeah, have a safe journey to Wales.
See you soon.
Okay, so we'll move on to this next question. Lost that then. Okay, so we'll move on to this one, which is again from Margaret. Margaret, I think I'll speak with you individually about this one because your course is a little bit different from some of the other master's programs. So it does mean that the scholarship implications are going to be a bit different for you. So we'll talk about this a little bit later, okay? Okay, so this is a question then from Mariana. It's a good question, one that's going to have an impact on all our international students. You're asking about the English requirements and what IELTS requirement you need. Now, if you were applying for an undergraduate course, you would need to have an IELTS score of 6 overall, and you need to have 5.5 in every band. The IELTS test is made out of 4 components. So you have reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So you need 6 overall and 5.5 in each of these bands, okay? That's for undergraduate level. If you are applying for a postgraduate master's level, then you need to have an overall score of 6.5, again with 5.5 in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, okay? Now, if you feel that you are at this level, so you're either at IELTS 6 level or 6.5. Now, if you apply through one of our representatives, so Evan was saying that he'd applied through both Barclay and NAP in Canada. Now, if you apply through one of these representatives, instead of doing an IELTS test, what you could do is a University of South Wales English test. This works very, very similarly to an IELTS test. And what would happen is that you would do the reading test and the writing test at our partner representatives in your country. So whether that be Canada, Colombia, Mexico, for example, you would do the test under exam conditions in the agent's representative's office. Now, what happens then is they would send the completed test to us and we will get that marked. And if you pass the reading and writing test, you would then go on to do a speaking and listening test. And that's done via Skype. Now, I should mention, we only require an IELTS test if you're from a country where the first language is not English. So, for example, if you were from Canada or the USA, then an IELTS test wouldn't be required. What we would do in that case is look at your high school results, and we wouldn't need an IELTS test at all. Okay, so I hope this helps. So basically, to round up this question, yes, if you're not from a country where English is the first language, then yes, you will need an IELTS test. Undergraduate applicants would need IELTS 6 with 5.5 in each band. Postgraduate applicants would need 6.5 with 5.5 in each band. If you feel that you're at this level, then you could do the University of South Wales English test. If you do an IELTS and you're below 6 or 6.5, don't worry, because we have plenty of English pre-sessional courses that we are able to provide you. So thank you for asking that question. I think that was very useful for a lot of international students.
I would just add quickly on the topic of language that I see international students coming in, and it's one of the biggest takeaways for them. I think it's interesting to meet them at the start of the year and then see them at the end of the year. And just the difference in their speaking ability and their writing ability. Just being immersed in the English language really helps improve your English while you're here. So if you're interested in developing those skills a little better, then it's another great reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's worth mentioning that even if you don't need an English pre-sessional course and you do meet our English language entry requirements, there are some in-sessional English courses that we offer. And so this is quite useful. If you just want to practice your English, even though you have met our English requirements, then that's something to help build your confidence as well. Okay, so let's have a little look here. Another question relating to English. Again, another one from Marcella, so thank you for asking this one. Generally, we prefer an IELTS test. There are some other English tests out there, but we prefer the IELTS. There are some English tests, such as the Pearson, for example, but if possible, you know, please try and do the IELTS test. If you're not able to do the IELTS test for whatever reason, just let us know and we will let you know what your options are then. So thank you for that, Marcella. Okay. Moving on to the next question then. This one is from Gabriella. And Gabriella is asking about the Bachelor's degree programme for Psychology and Behaviour Analysis programme. Would this be for a whole year or a fall and winter semester? All of the courses that we offer at undergraduate level, they are for 3 years. And 1 year would be from September to normally about May time. If it's a postgraduate course that you were looking for, then they are usually for 1 year. And usually, again, September to May, and then you do your dissertation through the summer then. So that's usually 1 full year. So thank you for that question, Gabriella. Anything you'd like to add, Evan?
I'm actually a February student. So I started in February winter of 2014, and I'm just wrapping up right now. So I finish April 30th of 2015, and I had the summer off.
Brilliant. So that's something I should mention as well, is that yes, most of our courses or all of our courses start in September, but some courses, mainly master's courses and some top courses, if you're an HND or a diploma student, some of these courses do start in February. So thank you for that question, Gabriella. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question, which is from Andreas. And this one is asking, is there a minimum GPA requirement for master's courses? Now, this is quite an interesting question because GPAs vary across different countries. You might have one country which has a GPA out of 4, one out of 5. Basically, if you get in contact with us, we will let you know your GPA requirement. But generally speaking, we're looking for 60% or above in your undergraduate course. And then we would look at the equivalency of that then in your GPA. So it would be very easy for us to work out your GPA. Thank you very much, Andres. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Yeah, this is a very good question. Well, first of all, it might be useful to ask, what is the difference between studying in Wales and elsewhere in the UK? Well, Wales does have its own culture, really. I mean, it's part of the United Kingdom. But as part of Wales, we do have our own culture. We have our own language for a start. So we speak Welsh. Many people speak Welsh, not everyone. So some of the phrases some of our international students like to learn. So you've got bore da, which means good morning. You've got prynhawnda, which is good afternoon, and diolch, which is thank you. So some students like to immerse themselves into the culture, but it's important to note that English is the language of study. English is the language of business as well. And anywhere you go in Wales, everyone does speak English, so it's very easy to get around, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. Anything you'd like to add about why you like studying in Wales, maybe? And if you've been to England, do you see any differences between England and Wales?
Well, there are. I guess it depends on where you go, though. It's tough to compare London to almost anywhere, actually, in the UK.
Yeah, it's quite different, isn't it?
Yeah, most of where I've gone, I guess, is London or Nottingham, maybe. But yeah, I guess it's tough to put your finger on it. There are differences, but
cultural differences. Some of them are very subtle, but yeah, I mean, I think it's quite nice to be immersed in a different culture. And we probably should mention here that Wales was actually voted as one of the best countries to visit back in 2014, and this was the Rough Guide that said this. So we must be doing something right. And I think one of the reasons for this is Wales is a very beautiful country and very diverse as well. I mean, our main campus is in Pontypridd. 25 minutes or 30 minutes up to the north, you've got Brecon Beacons National Park. And then 25 minutes to the south, you've got Cardiff, the capital city of Wales. Very multicultural, everything you would expect from a city, so it's a good place to study.
Yeah, and there's some great outdoor stuff here as well.
Absolutely.
Some of England doesn't have. London doesn't have it. Some great trails and stuff. I think the longest hiking trail in the world is here in Wales. Some great beaches and some good days out.
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
wild.
It's a great place to live, very nice place. And also great quality of life and very reasonably priced as well. So thank you for that. I'll move on to the next question then. Oh, some people have been really nice thanking us. So no, but thank you very much for listening to us. It's been really nice doing this session. I hope you do find it quite interesting. There's a question here about an open day. Now, yes, we do have open days, and yes, we can put the link to the open day dates on the session after we're finished. Of course, many international students aren't able to just come along to an open day, and we do appreciate that. But we do have a lot of information on the website, some location videos, virtual exhibitions, so they're worth checking out. And of course, if you do happen to find yourself in the UK at some point, we're more than happy to give you a tour of any of our campuses. Just send us an email and we can set that up. So you don't necessarily have to wait for an open day. But of course, if you're in the UK during an open day, that's a really good experience because you're going to be with lots of other students who have the same questions. Thank you for that question, Mariana. Anything you'd like to add?
I did not attend an open day.
No. Okay. Okay, another question then here from Marcella, asking about the minimum entry requirements from your school. Again, what we're looking for then, I don't quite see what your nationality is, but every course has different entry requirements. So, for example, if you wanted to study engineering, we'd be looking specifically at your maths and your physics grades at high school. But this is something I'm happy to answer individually to you, Marcella. Okay, a very good question again, Marcella. When you graduate, being an international student, can I work anywhere in the UK? Well, there are opportunities for you to work in the UK, and to do so, you would need to change to a tier 2 work visa from your student visa. There are options for you to do this, and I would suggest for you to think about what kind of work you would like to do before you actually graduate, so you're very prepared to do that before your course finishes. And we also have a great career and employability service on the campus here, and lots of things like Grad Edge, for example, which is a program designed for students to make them very employable for when they graduate. We do have an excellent employability rate, so 94.8% of our graduates have actually gone into further study or into employment within 6 months of graduating. So it just goes to show, our course is very practical. We do what we can to support you and find a job when you graduate.
Yeah, and there's a nice program through Go Wales, which I think is a government initiative. And so you can do work tasters, which basically means that you spend 1 week. Actually, it's flexible, but I think they break it up into 1 week sections. And so you're able to go and visit local businesses and kind of work for them for a week just to get a little bit of experience and learn how working in the UK works. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that you do need a separate visa,
Yes.
though, if you're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Dan. So basically, if you do have any questions after this session's finished, please do let us know. I do feel like we've gone through quite a lot of information, so I hope you found this session to be very useful. And just to sort of finish then, what sort of advice would you give to anybody who's watching today who might be thinking about applying to the University of South Wales?
I would say do it. I would say studying abroad is the best decision I've made. And I guess once you do it, just enjoy every moment. And I can't even stress how interesting you'll find it. Sometimes when I do the International Welcome Weeks. We have students come in from all different cultures, and you're not even expecting interesting things to happen or whatever. You're just trying to get to know everybody. And just a short story I have would be, we were playing a game where we had to hold up 1, 2, or 3 fingers to signal something. And it happened that myself, the person next to me on this side, and the person next to me on this side, we all held up 3. But the person on my left held up 3 like this, because they were German. I held up 3 like that, because I'm Canadian. And the person on the right held up 3 like that, because they're from the Philippines. And it's just cool little things like that, where you go, the world is so cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess it's just such a great way of meeting new people, and just getting to know a different culture in a different country, and of course taking all those things back with you, or if you choose to stay in the UK following your studies, there's so many opportunities available to our international students.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for listening in. I hope you find this useful. Again, if you have any questions after this, please do get in touch using the contact details which will be available to you. Thank you. Bye.